Hello, everyone. Welcome to the CEA finals. Just doing some last minute housekeeping here. Should be good to go. Awesome. I am ZombieGrub, and this is Fear Dragon coming in live from Montreal. He's actually casting another tournament tomorrow, so he's traveled there already, and he still had it in him to cast this as well. So thank you for getting all set up and stuff.
Is something that I really enjoyed being a part of in like what little capacity I was able to back in the day when I was at Amazon, actually.
Yeah, that's right. He's a software guy, so he goes to those fancy companies. Yeah, if you, I know you're tinkering with audio, so if you'd boost it just ever more, I can also try and balance my side as well, but
I can do my side, yeah.
I got the StarCraft sound so perfect and everything. Anyways. Yeah, thanks for being here. It's going to be a wonderful time. The CEA people treat us really nicely. It's an awesome organization, super well coordinated, which I'm going to be honest, you know, sometimes you get these emails and as cool as the idea sounds, you actually get into it and it's like, no one's here, no one talks to you, it's 30 minutes late, 5 players don't show up, and you're like, okay. That's actually been really awesome. They have a really good prize pool as well, and it all gets sent to charity, their favorite charity, so they're playing to send money to other people, no matter how you split it, but also for the honor, of course, which I think is the best. So it's going to be Google versus Amazon, and they both have excellent names for each other. It's Alexa 12 Pool from Amazon, which is an amazing name. And then Google kind of went, I guess, with the obvious, which is AlphaStars, but still really cool. And we are just waiting for the admins to get the lobby set up and stuff. I didn't think I was setting up the lobby, but now we're a little confused. But I'm really excited to be here again. We did it last year. On this channel as well, me and Fear Dragon both, and it was a bit of a stomp as far as I can recall. I think it was a 4-0.
Yeah, so for those who are not familiar with like how this oftentimes goes, I would go as far as to say that Amazon has become a bit of a juggernaut in like the HDL/CEA now. They have been extremely good. All of their players for the most part are around that Grandmaster League MMR. And they have been the team to beat. They have become like the Cyril of the CEA circuit at this point. So this is going to be a really tough run for Google. They've played before in the past, and I know you mentioned like obviously there was last season and stuff where they Amazon ended up winning. But even this season, Google's team has played the Amazon Alexa 12 pool, and it didn't exactly go Google's way. Let's put it that way.
No, it didn't. But I mean, Amazon just seems to really be like a juggernaut. They have a ton of really good players. Like they're all GM, actually. That's pretty impressive. But it's not like the other teams don't have GMs, but the other teams are more like high masters, mid masters type stuff. But even that's like really impressive. Usually when you just do kind of a roll call around a school or around a workplace or just in your daily life, either it's what StarCraft, I used to play that game, or oh yeah, I'm pretty bad at that game. Like those are the 3 answers you get. Not oh yeah, I'm GM, I'd love to play. But clearly they really enjoy being competitive. This organization also does other tournaments for other games, and they're always looking to expand as well. They have a really nice website that you can go check out, cea.gg. I think they're looking to add like Rainbow Six on, for instance. So they also have Overwatch and Rocket League, which I believe actually happened today, just previous to this. So I wonder how that went.
Yeah, I also want to emphasize one really important thing about this organization is that if you are thinking, oh, I would like to play in this, but I'm not Grandmaster League, I'm not amazing at Rainbow Six or whatever other games you're looking at, please do not let that deter you, because not only are there a ton of teams that participate that are not the Amazon Grandmaster League, like a player list sign up, there are also really cool things with the format that actually happened, where it's a Swiss format. You get to play, for the most part, against teams of a relatively similar skill level, and there are a lot of teams that end up enjoying their CEA experience, even though they're not necessarily composed of people who you think might even be signed up for like a WCS qualifier.
Yeah, it's actually pretty insane. A lot of these guys could be. I don't know if they actually might make Challenger in NA, assuming that it's like the same list as 2019. But anyways, it's pretty cool to see the top talent coming out here for these finals. But yeah, as Fear Dragon said, there's actually a ton of teams. I think, what is it, Google that has 5 teams actually for their entire company. It's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's really, really awesome. And I think the one thing I also have to emphasize about these 2 teams, and this is maybe a little bit my speculation going on, but I know that both of them actually have pretty awesome StarCraft communities where there are actually people on mailing lists and stuff. I know in my time at Amazon, this is definitely true. And funny enough, the person who used to, when I was at Amazon, organize a lot of this stuff is actually now at Google. In fact, I even see him in this chat channel for our games getting ready and everything. So shout out to Cicero, because he used to organize a lot of the Amazon stuff and bring together a lot of the StarCraft people. And that's actually one of my favorite things about this event, is that a bunch of these people actually hang out. They talk about StarCraft. This is more than just a random team of people who assemble whenever they have to play a match. This is a group of people who actually talk and enjoy StarCraft with each other, which is, again, another one of my favorite things about CEA. In case you couldn't tell, I really, really like the CEA.
Yeah, I get that impression, but even as someone who was never a part, because I couldn't even do CSL or any of the college stuff when I was in college. One, by the time I had found out StarCraft 2, I was already like, I want to say like a sophomore or junior, but I also moved to a school that had literally like 200 people. That was literally it. Maybe we could have like done like a whole, like, I don't know, roundabout way of saying like, well, technically this school only has 200 people, but there's like 7 other schools that are maybe, but never really occurred to me. I didn't actually know about it, so I missed out on that opportunity. So I've never been a part of this, but it's like absolutely excellent, especially for StarCraft, which not just an old game, but that 1v1 game. Like, it's very easy to get out of love with StarCraft if it's not your day job, like it is ours. Or if you don't have anyone else to play with, and it can be kind of difficult to find, right? Either you're like, your best chances are usually to join like a Discord, maybe, or some like popular Twitch streamers and YouTubes would have clans actually in game, perhaps. But it's so much cooler to actually have like your workmates, people you can talk to in real life, and actually be active with it the entire time. Be like, hey, I'm having this trouble with this matchup, can you help me out? And it's all towards a common goal, which is of course winning the tournaments, which again, it's not even about winning because everyone wants to take home, a big stack of cash. It's that they actually just really want to play StarCraft, be good at StarCraft, and then also give some money to charity. And it's always great when they invite us back to it as well. So I'm really honored to be here. Thanks, guys. And I hope the games are awesome. I know that the teams here previously did face each other, and it was a 4-1, so like maybe a bit of a stomp, but I'm always hopeful that something can happen. I mean, the one downside of Amazon is that they are kind of one-dimensional in their races, I believe. So that's the one thing, and I remember mentioning that last year as well, but it actually wasn't that much of a weakness. They did fine.
Yeah, one of my favorite things also is that they even had like a Terran player named Kevin, who was a Terran player, but he actually race switched from Terran to Protoss and is now playing Protoss. So it's a very Protoss heavy team for sure.
Yeah. We're still getting a lot of people in, so they actually just let the other team members watch the game in-game. As long as they don't lag, it's all fair. And I'm glad that they said that they know you're not allowed to chat, because that can be kind of annoying. I used to be a part of a clan, actually, like a fairly decent team, a long time ago, and that was super fun. Like, I wish it was possible to do that all the time, but anyways.
Did you share a team clan with, I don't know, an awesome North American Protoss player that is actually at the event that I'm going to be casting tomorrow, aka Neeb?
Yeah, I did actually, yes.
Yeah, because I distinctly remember this. I can't even remember why, but I keep seeing like this one image of you playing in a team match, and it's like Neeb playing one match, and then you're playing the match like in this clan match right afterwards. Because I love that. I love that team environment.
Yeah, it was awesome. There was actually Jon Snow made a tweet saying like I forget what he said, but it was basically the last time Neeb played for our team, which was StarCraft 2 strategy, and I think he knew the backstory, but I wanted to just like pay attention to me, guys, and I actually explained the backstory of this. But we was gonna go to like FXO, I think. Oh my god, such a throwback name, right? And coincidentally, we had to face them in this team tournament before he was officially a part of their team. And he won 4 games, and then he had to go to bed before the 5th game that would have won us the series. And we were like, but no, it was a lot of fun. That was also back when he was Terran, of course. This doesn't seem right. So, okay. Yeah, I don't have a referee. So I probably should have just made the lobby. I really didn't want to make the lobby because it does require some focus otherwise. But yeah, the problem when you get a bunch of people in a lobby is that it just kind of like chooses from everyone's preferred server.
If the person who creates, so the way that lobbies work, for those who are wondering, in case also, you know, some of the people who are organizing this lobby is actually listening to the stream. The way lobbies work is that whoever makes the lobby, their preference at the time that they hit create lobby is the setting that it'll take. And if you have it set to best match, as a lot of people do, then it will take some weird amalgamation of everyone that's in the lobby. And if you guys recall, we did say there were like 12 people in the lobby. Yeah,
exactly. So even trying to explain this to him is taking some of my attention. On your own settings.
Okay. Well, while you're actually doing that, I think it's a great time to also mention the fact that you had talked about earlier. These players are not playing for lining their own pockets with more of that amazing tech money. This is actually about raising money for charity. So both of these teams did pick out their own respective charities that they want to actually contribute their prize money for first place or second place to. And just to really quickly go over them, Amazon, I believe, ended up picking the charity. Oh God, it was Give Well, which I think is a really, really cool charity. I also know, I think a little bit better, the charity that Google's team had picked, which is Child's Play, which I believe is the same charity that was organized and run by the Penny Arcade people who make the Penny Arcade comic. Okay. I think now that the lobby is bugging for me because I can't join. It's just stuck on entering lobby. I might have to relog.
Yeah, relogging is probably the best.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I think it actually aired out properly, so I might be able to do this now. Yeah, we're good.
Okay, cool. We're now officially good to go. And it looks like everyone just after that just decided to watch the stream. So much smaller lobby as well.
Perfect.
Yeah. It's really unfortunate that I guess there should be a video about this, but it's not like even likely anyone will watch the video. The one thing I wish that was a little more obvious was how to make lobbies in like any game, actually. Because I remember when I got into Overwatch, there was really there's no tutorial basically on like how to make the lobby for everyone, and there was actually a couple of settings that were very important. Even in Brood War, there's a couple of settings that are very important, like the turn rate, right? That you just like you would never think of if you're just kind of casually playing games with your friends. So in this case, I want StarCraft to like make like a gigantic highlighter that says you can use /lobby link to link the lobby. Because no one knows about that. Like, you have to be told that. There's no other way to figure it out, as far as I've seen anyways. It makes life a lot easier for these gigantic lobbies. But anyways, we got there. We eventually got there, guys. So let me pull up my notes. Unless you already have them, we want to do the first.
Yeah, sure. I would be happy to start things off. Because we're going to be starting up here, the top left-hand corner of the map, on top of a yellow Protoss player who I'm quite familiar with. His name is Zest is Best. He is representing good old Alexa 12 Pool, aka Amazon.
All right, then. In the bottom right, as the orange Protoss, very fitting, it is Orange Caramel representing AlphaStars for Google. PvP. Zest is best. Zest is very good at PvP. If this guy's anything like Zest, Orange Caramel is screwed.
Well, we'll see if he can play at that kind of level. But I will say Zest is Best has traditionally been one of the better players for Team Amazon. But I do believe we've been seeing that he's had a bit of a rough season so far. He's been dropping a lot of his games. So we'll see how exactly his PvP is looking. We already see that he's doing something a little less than usual, right? He's going for that very early Zealot, which you traditionally don't see in PvP. And he's going for the low ground gateway.
Yeah, very odd. Very odd. In fact, I was surprised when I went to the bottom right and it was Protoss. I was like, well, that's definitely not how you wall off against Protoss. There is a random player. That isn't Orange Caramel, though, is it?
No, the Orange Caramel is the Grandmaster, the only Grandmaster League player on Team Google, though. So this is their ace player.
Yeah, it's 2 Banes. That's the team's only random player, and that might be the reason we'd see a Willow Ground wall off. That's quite risky, but it could be. But no, this is actually just his strategy against another Protoss player. Also, blocking off any Nexus. Not that you get that early of a Nexus, but Orange Caramel did not go. So like this is just a weird PvP on both sides. Did not go for any wall off at the front either, which would have been able to pile and block the Zealot, but just choosing to deal with it with the probes.
Yeah, and actually manages to get 2 workers in exchange. So, I mean, technically that's 100 minerals for 100 minerals, but a little bit of lost mining time there is going to be a bit annoying. And also he gets a scout out to see, okay, there are 2 stalkers made. One concern that Zest is Best might have now is that there could be 4 stalkers that move out across the map. But look at this. The stalkers waste their time attacking the pylon. Now they're going to try and deal with the adept. So he is being kept at home, and this allows Zest is Best to go for that proxy Stargate, or that Stargate.
Yeah, now Orange Caramel is going for an actual proxy Stargate, but it feels quite late in comparison to what Zest is Best is doing here, not in proxy, but even a little bit closer, but just a lot faster than what Orange Caramel is doing. So this is already looking quite bad for our Orange Protoss. I'm still quite amazed at both of their openers. Zest is Best is, I mean, they're both GM, actually. We just went over that. So very odd. The Adept itself would have been blocked out absolutely by a typical Protoss wall-off. That's why you do it, really, is because of Adepts. But now we have the issue of Stargates in this matchup, which Shield Battery really helps. And there is a Shield Battery, but then 2 Oracles come in potentially. It gets nasty. Not a second Oracle, though. Actually, a Void Ray's on the way.
Yeah, and I really like that decision. It's also going to be complemented by that shield battery that you were talking about. So that's actually going down on Zest's Best side. Now, noticing the shield battery, immediately just decides to go for the stasis drone, which catches every single probe mining minerals. Couldn't have asked for a better one, but can he defend?
Oh my god. Well, we actually went for a Phoenix instead of an Oracle, and that might be a brilliant move. Shield Battery be damned in the main. It's helping just a tiny little bit against the Void Ray. Could also, well, it already lifted one thing, so that's already helpful, actually. And this is barely going in the favor of our Orange Protoss, but so barely that a Probe Pool is going to actually be able to help out here. Chrono on that second Void Ray is going to be fine as well. There's no proxy Pylon. There's just proxy Phoenix, which they're only going to be able to lift one thing at a time as brand new Phoenix here. That's only so helpful.
Yeah, I actually really like the full wall off over there. It's going to at least prevent a few extra gateway units from moving forward, as there are more gateway units rallying across the map. But, I mean, the shield batteries, they're only going to be so helpful as this count just continues to grow. Keeping that Void Ray alive is absolutely critical, but not going for the Stalkers, I actually don't like that decision because the Pylons get focus fired down.
Ooh, that is an interesting idea, but Zest's Best notices you have to actually click on the building if you want to regen its shields. It won't do it automatically. It just goes to the unit, which right now the Void Ray is soaking up all the energy of the shield batteries. They are completely depleted now, however, and 3 Phoenix taking out this Void Ray. Stalkers taking out the Stalkers on the ground. And this is actually working from across field. Orange Caramel is bringing some aggression.
Yeah, another Void Ray did pop out, but the shield batteries are nearly out of energy. So is the Phoenix plus the Stalker going to be enough? Another shield battery just barely gets the energy, but it is not enough to keep that Void Ray alive. So the Phoenix, yes, they are the only units left alive right now, but there are some more Stalkers rallying across the map. And look at how many shield batteries have been forced out. That's
a lot. That's 400 minerals, 500 actually, as the fifth one finishes up. Did he have one in the main as well? Okay, cancel that one. But still, 500 minerals, not a lot of other production, mostly just working on the Stargate. But he does have a natural nexus. So as long as he holds, I mean, he'll come out ahead eventually.
Yeah, there is a natural nexus being established now for Orange Caramel. So eventually Orange Caramel can start getting up his own transition. But that is going to be so much later than his opponent. And even with now the retreat coming out here from Orange Caramel, this is going to be him playing a bit from behind because he wasn't able to finally break Zest's best.
Yeah, that was so funny how that almost worked. The Phoenix ended up being a great option against the Void Ray, which really was primarily thinking about dealing with Stalkers. And if there was a proxy pylon or an Oracle was also made and took advantage of the main base here, not having a shield battery, that's when things actually are looking quite good. But across the field, Phoenix, take out a unit, but they're not in high enough numbers to really take out any economy. Yeah, Orange Caramel still ends up being lated to this Nexus, down 7 workers. And, well, I will say that if that Phoenix count grows, and I'm glad to see that he's going back into it, that will actually have the potential to do a ton of damage. It's something you do against Phoenix that continue to grow in numbers until you really get Blink. To start actually shooing them away. They just take free damage. They get a couple probes here and there. It really starts to add up. So that's where Orange Caramel actually has a pretty good advantage because Blink's certainly not on the way anytime soon, apparently. We actually have directly at our Archons.
Yeah, and I also want to know, this is where, unfortunately, all those shield batteries are also going to hurt a bit because you notice there's a massive wall of these shield batteries and pylons. It's going to make it pretty hard for those Stalkers to actually ever catch those Phoenix, so that gives them even more time to pick off some more workers. They're already even.
Yeah. I know I have some confusion over who is on what team, and I'm trying to find a solution for that, guys.
Yeah, for those who are wondering, for now, at least for this game, until we get that resolved, Zest's Best is on Team Amazon, Orange Caramel is on Team Google.
Yeah. Maybe I'll put a 12 next to his name for 12 pool. Trying, guys. But this has turned into a very interesting PvP. The openings were definitely very weird on both sides. I thought Orange Caramel was kind of the one looking to be taking more damage, but not necessarily on that aggression. But with the Phoenix, rather, I actually have a lot of faith in the mid-game for our Orange Protoss. And, I mean, some of that is because he also significantly delayed any tech, any transition from Zest's Best by applying so much aggression.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of the High Templars being warped in over here now for Zest's Best, so I imagine he's going to be looking to go into some Archons, but he might be going for feedbacks on the Phoenix. Just missed opportunity there, though.
Unfortunately, feedbacks are okay. They don't really kill Phoenix, and to try and get as many feedbacks as there are Phoenix is usually a really tall order, but Orange Caramel actually didn't really go up to that many. 6 is a decent number to do the harassment he's doing, but that maybe could be countered by the feedbacks, I guess.
If only High Templars moved as fast as Phoenix.
Right? Yeah. And then if you leave High Templars by themselves in mineral lines, well, they actually might be the ones that are picked up and killed, and that's 100 B gas gone. That's not necessarily worth the chance to feedback all those.
Yeah. Well, we're starting to see the holes be opened up over here in that natural expansion wall. The move out is happening. I'm a little sad that we aren't seeing at least one of these Archons being made, because an Archon is extremely, extremely powerful in these PvP settings just because they deal extra damage to the Zealots. They tank a Mortal Fire really well. Stalkers don't kill them very quickly, and they'll be useful versus the Phoenix themselves.
This is not a bad attack from Zest's Best, but Orange Caramel, by only going for 6 Phoenix and then, finally getting that economy up on 2 bases, actually has a very good looking Protoss army. Neither one of them has any upgrades, but Orange Caramel just finished that charge. No longer with the 8 added damage to the charge, but it does help connect at the very least. They're going to provide a lot of fodder for 3 Archons to tackle Zest's Best's army, and the Phoenix, taking out that Warp Prism, can now start lifting the Stalkers and the Immortal.
Oh yeah, the Zealots also going ham on these Stalkers on the south side of the engagement. The Immortal is still alive over here from Orange Caramel, but he is getting forced back, and the Phoenix did not really get an opportunity to kill off enough of the Stalkers while the Archons are still alive. So now they have to back up. His third base under a bit of fire, but I think just some reinforcements should be enough to help clean this up, right?
Yeah, I think so. Even the 2 Immortals, they're going to pack a punch against the Archons. The Phoenix do go after the Stalkers, and they're not that clumped up, so the Archons are very effective at taking out the Phoenix. They're taking them out pretty much individually, not using their attacks to actually take out the ground army of Orange Caramel. And the Orange Protoss is going to push Zest's Best back. Supplies looking fantastic for Google here.
Yeah, Google already doing a great job. And I have to emphasize that this was a very important match for Google, because if you send out your ace, you need to win that match, especially when you have that kind of powerhouse team that Amazon has, that powerhouse lineup. full of Grandmaster League players, and you got to send out your only Grandmaster League player. They better win that match. So Google's looking to be in a really, really nice spot after this.
I want to say this is a win. And like, this is going to be a kind of a lame looking attack from Zest's Best because he doesn't have charge. A lot of these Zealots, I mean, I guess in a weird way, they're not going to clump us as much versus the Archons because they don't have charge, I suppose. But they're not actually going to be that helpful. They can even still be kited away in this current form.
All right, Warp Prism Micro is going to be enough. I love the decision to drop the Archons on top of the Immortals to not only take the fire, but also to set off all the hardened shields. And look at this, the mass number of Zealots is actually doing so much. Are you kidding me? Is this almost working?
This is so cool. That was actually a brilliant attack. He used the Warp Prism to dive over the army and have a full surround on top of the army, leaving the Archons about half as effective as they really should have been. The shield batteries were just 5 seconds too late to help out, but are reinforcements going to be enough? Zest is Best might only be looking at taking down the third base, and the question at that point, would that be enough?
Yeah, I do want to note, though, that a lot of the reinforcements are actually warped in directly on top of this army, so he ends up losing a handful of those units that just warped in, and that is going to make it harder to eventually start cleaning this up. Now, a couple of probes go down, not too many, and Zest's Best doesn't actually get the third base even over here. So, like you said, is it enough to just get the third base? Well, is it enough if you don't get the third base?
Well, definitely not. He's been down in Workers, obviously down in Nexus, so building one at this point is going to be a very long time before it reaps any rewards. I don't think that was enough. That was an awesome attack, considering the situation he was up against. The tactics there were quite cool, but the sheer army size, I guess, was also in his favor. It won't be given a minute or two here, but Orange Caramel might be, I think he's actually being a little greedy here. He doesn't have to defend this third base, and that's the opportunity Zest's Best is looking for him to be greedy.
Oh, Lord, that's so many Zealots from Zest's Best. Charge is only going to help out so much because it doesn't deal extra damage. Jeez. Oh my god, he taps out, and Zest's Best from Amazon takes the first game.
Defending that third base was ultimately the worst call. Of course, there was some scouting missing from Orange Caramel on the other side of the map. He didn't actually know there was no third base from Zest's Best, although I feel like he could have known, considering how much aggression was going on. It is hard to think of it during the moment. And sometimes, especially if you think that opening was not necessarily in your favor, and it was a weird opening, the players themselves are probably like, am I ahead? Is he ahead? You can, suddenly you think that third Nexus is actually the most important thing in the world. And really, I'm not sure it would have been, but that's it. That's it. Zest's Best does prove that he's still best. PvP goes in his favor, and all is well as Amazon takes the first game.
Congratulations to Amazon on that first victory over the ace player from Team Google. So this is going to put Google in a really tough spot because now losing that first match with your ace player, I know I keep talking about ace player this, ace player that, but it is pretty impactful and I would say like motivationally for the rest of the team when you kind of, that ace player loses and you're like, okay, well, this is already an uphill battle. Now it's going to be even harder. It's the same as like when you drop the first map against, or the first two maps against Cyril in like a best of 5. And you're like, oh no, I already had to win a bunch of games against Cyril. Now I have to win a bunch in a row without dropping more maps. Oh, this is a tough spot. So I hope that Google can rally together. They got so close to that last game to making it work.
I'm going to do is to fix some technical problems. I think I know what happened in terms of the sound. So I spent some time balancing the sound, but I think when you called, I had to change my sound output on OBS to get any sound from you, which means that it's a different output than what StarCraft is using.
Okay, so. Yes, we will get that resolved, guys. And while ZombieGrub is kind of looking into all, the CEA is an awesome organization, and I think we were talking about this before. If you are into StarCraft, cool, you're probably into StarCraft if you're watching this. But you guys should consider signing up. Put together that ragtag group of people at your company if you're working at one of these kind of awesome companies. Then you might already have a team. But if you don't, then consider trying to get just even a couple of people, even if they're bronze or silver or gold league players or something. Pull them together because this is a great tournament for just building that kind of awesome StarCraft community. You get to play in that Swiss format, so you actually do manage after a couple of matches to play against people of similar skill levels. You're not just going to get stomped, but your Gold League players are not going to have to face off against 5.9k MMR Grandmaster League players who could possibly qualify for WCS Challenger. Now you're going to get matched against people who are probably closer to your skill level. And it's a really, really great fun event, all about kind of getting money and raising that money for charity and just putting on a really cool intramural league for a lot of these big tech companies.
Indeed.
Now I do believe we are getting the invite for the next game. And as far as I can tell, we're moving on to Acropolis. We'll end up seeing who actually gets put into these player slots. Right now, Amazon is going to be leading up this series 1-0. They still got a lot more of these different Grandmaster League players to field, including their supposed ace player, who's a 5.9k MMR player named Zero. So interested to see when that Terran player is going to be fielded. Most of Amazon's lineup are Protoss players, so we'll see. Maybe Google has some really, really good Protoss snipers that they can actually field out for some of these matches.
Yeah. Do me a favor and stop talking for a second.
ZombieGrub, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, I actually can't hear you anymore.
Okay then. Well, that's a problem because I need him to stop talking. Well, my mic is definitely the right one that's on Zoom, so I'm just gonna mute him. There's an option.
I can learn to understand you much better.
No, shut up. It's Cortana, I swear to God. Yes, mute him. All right, then. That is not working correctly.
Twitch Prime sub received. Thank you for appeasing the Overmind.
Okay, now that's working. Now you can hear StarCraft. But... now... might not even be able to hear Fear Dragon. No, I can hear him.
Okay, you can hear me?
Yes. And stream can hear you too. No? Okay.
Okay, I can't hear you. I can only hear you through the stream.
Oh god, that's not great. That's not an amazing option.
Yeah, this is going to be a few second delay for me.
Oh wow, god. Jeez. Well, don't want to tell you about that, but I did fix the Stark. On my side, things are fixed. StarCraft sounds now should be coming through. The weirdest thing happens with this type of headset that I have. It's actually a really cool headset. I really like it. Not that I'm going to advertise it, but the one problem is that it has two different outputs. It's like one input and two different outputs. So there's actually three different outputs possible when I go into sound settings. And while this hasn't happened before, it happened today where StarCraft was going through one Arctis Pro output, and then Fear Dragon was going through another Arctic Pro output. And yeah, I mean, I got it fixed, but I don't know what to do about Fear Dragon not being able to hear me. That one doesn't feel like it's my fault.
Oh lord. Maybe we can start up a Discord call really quickly?
Yeah, we could do that. Just mute Zoom. Say that again? Yeah. Alright, try that again.
Okay, hello, testing.
So they can also hear you now as well. Cool.
Perfect.
That'll have to be our solution, and I'll just try and sound balance again on Discord.
Okay. Problem solved.
Yes, solutions are here, guys. So now the StarCraft 2 sound would also be quite balanced if I really did balance it earlier. Thank you for this resub, SLOPPYPUPPE. And thanks, guys, for tuning in. Now we got all the kinks worked out, maybe, hopefully. Get the score set up here, and we'll do the intros. I actually have to do this just really quickly. In the bottom right is the Orange Protoss Mesa Man.
Representing Team Amazon. And up at the top left, going for the 12 pool, living up to the name, it is Turing from Team Google. Gonna be 12 pooling Amazon Alexa 12 pool. And I think the Lings already on their way across the map.
Yes, and the probe, I believe, saw that there were Lings on the way. We have a Zealot already out. We have a second Zealot on the way. A full wall here looking quite nice. This isn't going to be doing the damage that Turing wants. It usually just depends really on either not scouting from the Protoss, which is unlikely, or the Protoss not knowing how to defend against it, which it seems like Mesaman's got this fine.
Yeah, the super safe play to go for 2 of the Zealots over here to ensure that even if there are some additional Lings coming out, or somehow they manage to sneak past that first Zealot, or, you know, get surrounded by these Lings, you still have a little bit of a safety net, and that Adept should signal the end of this kind of aggression.
Yeah. Zealot definitely should not have been out there, but it was the kind of extra Zealot, shall we call it, so he just dies for a scout. This probe is still out there, though, and that can get a scout, no problem. Get back and see the natural, even get to see the third base. There are drones on the way. I will say that Mesaman's choosing an interesting approach. You can try and get away with the defense without going for a second Zealot, and rather just waiting for the second Adept. Gets a little scary if you do that, so that's not so weird. It's that he's following up with more buildings instead of a Nexus. So we have a Robo that's supply blocked, unfortunately, and a couple of gateways. Yeah.
That's gonna hurt so much because the Robo was a pretty key part of this, right? Around the time that Warp Gate would be finished, I think that Metzelman had actually enough time to maybe get up an Immortal and a Warp Prism. Now I think it's gonna be probably just a Warp Prism by the time that Warp Gate finishes.
Yeah, this is turning very awkward. Now throwing down a Nexus. Ideally, you do this wall off, you get that extra Zealot, sure, and then you just go into a Nexus. A Stargate sometimes is a very powerful follow-up just because it gets you scouting and potential defense options without, you know, sacrificing units, which obviously sending a Zealot across the map would probably just die. So the Warp Prism could have been an option to kind of do that as well, both provide aggression and defense and get some scouting. But yeah, with that supply block, this is obviously not something that I think he usually follows up that defense with. This already has thrown off the Protoss, it feels, a lot more than it's thrown off the Zerg. Yeah,
I definitely am in agreement with that. Now, I mean, Metzelman is a 5.2k MMR Protoss player, so I do expect it should have some ability to try and transition out and make the most of a kind of tough situation. We're going to see how he can kind of cope with this as Lairtech starting up. Additional Lings are being made in case there is a bit of that aggression coming across the map in Turing's way. And it does seem like it's going to probably be some kind of charge lot Immortal Warp Prism attack moving across the map eventually. I would be a bit surprised to see a Protoss player stop at 27 probes and then try and go for a third base.
Yeah. And by the way, 27 probes, very, very low probe count. You usually have at least 2 base saturation, so that might just do more with the build order being so wonky. He should be up to full saturation to mining bases. Yeah, noticeably no gas being taken. It is definitely gonna be all in 100%, but you do need at least the 16 times 2. Excuse me, that hard. 32 workers to actually you warp in as much as you want to with all these gateways finishing.
Now, it's really important that Turing does not over-drone at this point. Now, if you make too many drones, that means you're not making army units. You're already up to a 52 versus 31 worker lead here for Turing. And there is an Overseer being made, additional Overlords being popped, and I think that Roaches should be on the way next, but if Turing just goes back into drones, okay. I was a little worried. If Turing went up to like 60 drones or something and doubled his opponent's worker count, I'd say, okay, Turing, you might be in some trouble.
I think he already is, though. I think this might have been a little too greedy, because not only did he go for up to 52 workers, but he also got a lair and +1 missile. When a lot of these defenses against Immortal all-ins, we usually at least see the +1 pushed off, which is, you know, almost, well, not quite 2 Roaches, but yeah. It's still a lot to dedicate something that's not helping you right here, right now, and the attack is right here, right now.
All right, Lings are going to get obliterated really, really quick by that Zealot front line, and the Immortal's going to make short work of those Roaches and even the Spinecrawler. Drones being pulled up the line immediately. I really like that immediately Turing has made that decision. And the Warp Prism is getting, I think, focused right now by some Queens, but there's just way too many Zealots to actually kill it.
Coming in from two different angles kind of works favorably for Turing, which sometimes it backfires horribly. And you're right, that drone pull instantly was the right call. The last queen's gonna try and dive after that War Prism, but does she actually have the DPS? No, not quite. Maybe she just stuck around, but two Immortals are on her, so she backed off. One more queen is on the way. God, that War Prism is so low, but still here. Go, queen, go! No.
Oh, so close to getting it, and now the roaches are not able to get on top of that Immortals. More drones being pulled. At this point, the worker counts are almost evened up, and our War Prism still being live, working in additional units. I think that Mestaman might actually just be okay with this, right? If this doesn't end up working out anymore, if he can't break his opponent, this is transitionable.
Well, yeah, I think that's absolutely true. And I was wondering if this was actually going to be the end of the game because the Lings are being oddly effective with the not, bonus 8 damage. Lings do look a little bit better against those charge lots, but all it took was a couple more Warpins to actually overpower. Zealots are still better than Lings. And the Immortals, unfortunately, have lived this entire time, so the Roaches reinforcing aren't helping.
Yeah, and remember that this is already a 1-0 lead for Team Amazon, and that's going to make it a 2-0 lead as Mestaman takes a second game.
Yeah. That was very awkward. I think Turing did what he wanted in terms of throwing off his opponent, and he might have been looking at him like, okay, he's a bit better than me, like, I got to do this. I think that was actually worth it. But the follow-up, I do say that was a little too greedy. Everything coming together, the lair +1, roach speed as well. It's usually kind of like between those three, you can get one, but not all three. And then 52 drones as well. If there's 5 more roaches earlier on, 12 more Lings earlier on, 2 more queens even earlier on. If you're having like a gas problem, for instance, then that War Prism is absolutely dead. And it feels so bad as a Zerg player to lose that too, because you knew it was on the way. You tried to do the pro thing and just barely get enough economy, and it's really tough.
Yeah, I do have to agree with you on that, and I feel like that we've definitely noticed a trend so far in both of these games where Google players have seemed to have gotten ahead after holding off some weird attack or getting into a really, really nice spot. And then they just play a little too greedy. They stretch themselves a little too thin, or sometimes a lot too thin in that last game. And then end up barely not being able to hold on and ends up losing the game through that. So I'm really hoping this doesn't happen a third time, because that would truly be demoralizing to be in winning spots in 3 games in a row and to lose all 3 games. I'm really hoping that Google can still turn this series around, because you know what? We still got a little bit of time. We're losing some of the leeway there for Google, but it's still absolutely possible.
Yeah, that is the that really does hurt to be up 2-0. Well, to be up in both games and then ultimately lose 0-2. Thank you very much to 47 for donating 1,200 bits.
Ooh.
Thank you very much. And we're getting the next map set up. As I was saying when I was bringing up the whole being in a clan, I wasn't just bringing it up to talk about Neeb. Was that what you would do is you would join the game, even if it was cast, because oftentimes they weren't even cast, they were like clan wars. You would join the game, the lobby, and you guys would watch, or one person would, and then like a screen share or something, and you'd all be there cheering on your buddy, and and like they're doing like the dirtiest things ever that you would rage at ladder, but they're doing it to another person, so you're like, yes, do it.
Yeah. Oh Lord. The calls that you'd have in those like clan matches or everything were probably one of the most gratifying things.
No, absolutely. It was so fun, actually getting into talking and cheering and being part of that team environment as well, which I always was when I was growing up, but then, lost it as you get older. It's so good. But then when it, that's awesome. But then you also get the feeling of like, oh, they got it. Oh no, they're letting it go. Oh no, stop playing poorly. No, don't do that. You're like yelling at your player and you can't even hear you. But, it starts to affect maybe the team a little bit if they actually are. I know we have a lot of people joining once again back in the lobby now that we got all the kinks worked out on both the lobby making and the stream side. So, but hopefully everyone's still having some fun. I would love to see at least 1 point on the board though. Make this a 4-1. That was their last score last time these guys played, and I know obviously they're looking to reverse that score.
Yeah, this is going to be the tough one, though, ZombieGrub, because this is not just a bit of an uphill battle anymore for Google, not only in the score, but this is now the supposed ace player for Team Amazon being fielded, as we're going to jump in and introduce the players, moving into this Terran versus Terran.
Okay. I once again have to get my notes up.
Yeah, I can. I'll handle that first player intro for you, ZombieGrub. I got my notes
thanks.
up. We're going to be starting over here in the top left-hand corner of the map. On top of that ace player I was just talking about for Team Amazon, it is 0.
And in the bottom right.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was just saying 5.9k MMR Terran player.
Oh, that's up there. In the bottom
Yeah.
right, for Google AlphaStars, it is Remix.
All right, ZombieGrub, tell me, do you feel like Terran versus Terran is a matchup of miracles?
Matchup of miracles?
Miracles? Miracle
I mean,
plays?
that's an odd way to put it, but if you mean in terms of comeback opportunity, then yes, it is.
Because, you know, I'm really, really just gonna put out my biases right now. I want a long series. I want this to be a fun series. But Remix is a 4.6k MMR player. That is 1,300 MMR less than his opponents. And ZombieGrub, I dare say that is a decently large gap.
Yeah. It gets so weird when you get up to the Masters and Grandmasters stuff, because obviously Grandmaster is a league that encapsulates like 2,000 MMR. If you're talking about like Sarah Logan's at the 7,200. So, and you're talking about NA server, I suppose, as well. But the point is, like, it goes across a lot of points, but then to put it in maybe a concept for like leagues, which more people are still familiar with. I mean, 1,200 MMR, what is that? That's,
I think
like,
that's the
Masters is like,
difference. I think it's the difference between Gold 2 and Diamond, or Masters 3.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to go with.
Yeah.
I was subtracting from Masters 3, but yeah, something like that. Right, so that's actually a pretty big deal. Not many people are going to be cheering for the gold player, thinking that
I
they're
am
actually
cheering
gonna
for the
win.
gold player, man. Okay.
Well, okay, they're not going to think he's going to win. You can cheer for him, obviously, but think he's going to win is a whole nother deal. And when it comes to that, so like Remix is not a bad player. He's going to have a good build order. He's going to understand the matchup for sure. But differences do become like the SCV production is consistent for a guy like Zero, and he suddenly has 3 more SCVs 4 minutes in instead of being at the equal amount despite doing equal builds. In this case, they're actually not doing equal builds, which is probably the best thing that Remix can have is for him to do something different and then catch Zero off guard, which is why he's doing something that's a little off meta, which is going up to a full 1-1-1 on 1 base.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to be clear, Remix is not a Gold League player. He is a Masters League player. And, you know, Masters League players, they do have some tricks up their sleeves sometimes. They got some wonky builds. They've got that StarCraft experience to throw out some curveballs. And we'll see what he's going to be able to make happen with this, as the Hellions are now popping out, but the Liberator is on the way. And Zero does not have that safety cyclone coming up. That's going to make it a lot easier to deal with.
Well, the Hellion is one thing. Bunker's fantastic. The Cyclone's fantastic. When you think your opponent's doing a full 1-1-1, you got to be worried about like a Hellion drop. You also got to be worried for frontal pressure with a Liberator in the back, because the Liberator is like the most devastating port. You don't pay attention for 10 seconds, it kills 10 SCVs. Easy peasy. So the Cyclone can help deal with the Liberator. Bunker at the front deals with basically everything else. There's not much that can break a bunker fast enough this early in the game that you are afraid of losing it. You could be afraid of things running past it, but there's not even that many SCVs at the natural to even kill, so you'd still be okay with that option.
Yeah, the tough part about this is that Zero has that expansion, and we still don't have another command center being made for Remix, but we do have a second factory.
Wow.
Blue Flame also being researched and Armory being made. I really wonder what Remix's follow-up plan is here.
I wonder as well. It's apparently Blue Flame Hellbat drop, which was a build that existed when Blue Flame was, well, not Blue Flame, when Hellbats were first introduced back in the beginning part of the Swarm. Liberator was kind of an obvious one, unfortunately. But as I said, like, there's actually not much that Remix could have done. The best thing he could have done was send the Hellion to the natural, Reapers to the cliff, and the Liberator, and hope something finds damage. But just one thing would definitely not do very much.
Well, ZombieGrub, if there's one thing we can say about Remix's build, is that this is very unusual, and Zero has kind of been in the dark. So you know what, with the SCV pull and everything, I'm hopeful. I'm keeping a little bit hopeful, but here we have that first Reaper moving in, and it's going to be a bit annoying to deal with. Hellions who kind of finally come in and roast and toast it, but it's right before Blue Flame finishes.
The problem is, I think Zero is like kind of like, wait, is he really doing that? And I think he knows. Is that I don't know if it's really that powerful. There's a reason you stopped doing it.
Okay, SCVs are just charging to the front lines, and I think the Siege Tank DPS plus a couple of these Marines is going to be more than enough to deal with that. And that's everything.
Yeah.
GG.
That's it. GG.
It's a cool idea. Of course, this is going to be, again, like a super uphill battle. So you know what? Even if it looks a little bit one-sided or silly and everything, that's the kind of build order I want to see out of a player who is the huge, heavy underdog. It's so weird. It's so out there. And when it fails, you'll look a bit like the fool. But you know what? You're hoping for that little chance that it really just catches your opponent off guard.
Yeah, I very much so felt like a pro player that was just like making the cast boring for that game, where I'm just like, yeah, that person's dead. Like, this sucks. Like, but that is actually somewhat of the truth of it. That type of build, because that still happens to me occasionally. Back when I was like actually like okay, and it would only work if you took extreme damage from the early game, so the 3 Hellion, 3 Reaper thing, and the Liberator could or could not do any damage, maybe, but you were supposed to be off kilter, you're supposed to not remember to put down a bunker, you're supposed to have your tanks both at the front kind of together so that they do nothing against the Hellbat drop. But I also think that the build is supposed to have, I thought it was supposed to have more medevacs, but that's a moot point. The point is it doesn't look very good. The Raven even still helps out because an auto turret's fantastic. It was an interesting build, and I think you're right. He absolutely had to be the one to do something interesting, but I think like maybe even just a regular good old-fashioned one-base tank push would have had a bit more potential, and that actually is something that, if you watch my stream, I actually think it's so stupid. But that's the type of thing that people underestimate, even playing defensively, and they're like, oh, it's fun, and they suddenly pull and don't actually kill it. That Hellbat thing, I don't know. You know, we saw the end result. It barely killed anything, and I'm like, oh. It's hard to make that one work.
Yeah, a little unfortunate, but they're not out of it just yet. I think there is still one more game that Amazon will have to win if they want to lock this down. Google has now got to win quite a few games in a row. But just to have that opportunity, and you know what, if they can hold on just a little bit longer, that's when I think they start getting to decide and kind of, you know, I think players can be refreshed and all that kind of stuff, I believe.
Yeah. I think that is the way to go. If it were to go to game 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. Well,
yeah,
8, 6, 7. But it does seem kind of unlikely. You know, the first 2 games where the real promise was at, just in terms of not the players that were being fielded, and not even the situations really, but that it was the first 2 games. Those are the ones that everyone's spirits are high, morale is high, momentum can be attained, and kind of shift the dynamic of the game 3 and 4. But that momentum's already been gained for the winning team.
Okay, well, you know what, ZombieGrub? I'm really hopeful about this next match, because not to spoil the player intros that we're about to do or anything, but we have 2 players that both have fairly interesting histories. From Team Amazon, we have Kevin, who is a former Terran player that recently switched to Protoss. So he's around 5.k MMR, or 5k MMR, which basically means you're kind of newer. There's maybe some kinks with the race that you haven't quite fully flushed out yet against maybe some weirder attacks. And his opponent is a random player, actually.
Yeah, we finally have our random player coming into play for Google AlphaStars, so we'll see what he has. He is the type of random player to say his race as well, as we see. In the bottom right, it is that man, 2 Banes.
And up at the top left, we have our orange Protoss player from Team Amazon. It is Kevin.
Well, random, gonna give you that advantage of not knowing where to put that first pylon, right?
Twitch Prime
Just kidding.
Thank you for a piece.
Random's kind of a hot topic right now, which is coincidental, but since 2 Banes is the type of player to say his race, and it's more of a professional setting, and it's also not, it's competitive, guys, but these guys are once again playing for a nice bit of cash to send to charity. you know? So it's not like Two Banes is going to go home and eat like a loaf of bread and he's like, if only I didn't tell him my race, then I would have won. No, you know, like, no, that's not going to happen. So he's probably telling the truth, which the probe scouts. They told him so fast that there's actually going to be a complete, it's as if this was actually PvT and not PVR.
Yeah. I do want to note, Two Banes is supposedly undefeated right now, so that is somewhat promising. Even if might be slightly low MMR, 300 MMR difference is absolutely something you can make up for, especially in these kind of competitive settings where a lot of the players may not be as used to competing or even being, you know, commentated on a stream or all this other stuff. There's additional pressure that goes in. So I actually think a lot of the time for players that are not used to playing on these kind of stages, pressure is going to be a huge thing of seeing who is going to be able to come out on top, who can handle that kind of stress or the anxiety of making sure you actually show up for your team better.
I absolutely think this is an MMR difference that it's going to be fine. Especially, this is actually like, this is like very familiar to me because I'm around the same MMR with my random, but it depends on which one is my main race, right? My Zerg drags me down, my Terran lifts me up, and we don't actually have the information of which Two Banes considers his to be more of his main, or rather his best race, shall we say. So if Terran was, then maybe he's actually playing at like even a 5,000 MMR. He just doesn't play Terran all by itself, and that means that it's totally even. I don't actually know that, but even still, even if this is his actual 4,700 MMR race, this is totally doable. But he has to play a very tight game, and Kevin maybe has to make a couple of mistakes, which is absolutely common for 5,000 MMR. It's common for everyone. It's common for Serral even. I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hard to believe.
Now, Thunderbird is one of those sort of funny maps that was in the last ladder season, and we ended up seeing this map being a fantastic map for taking third bases and everything, mostly in like more PvZ kind of settings and that kind of stuff, but the basic idea is you have 3 fairly easy to take bases if you just defend that one ramp. Now, that of course is not talking about things like drop play and stuff, which is why we're going to also see Kevin and a lot of pros players on this map still go for a lot of those blink openings just to kind of cover your bases, be able to get between them pretty quickly and handle things. But ooh, the Hellions managed to make their way straight into the main.
Yep, can't quite fully wall off, or one block wall off, I guess, that natural. So the Stalkers are already out of position anyways, and the Hellions get in. 2 Hellions need 2 shots to kill probes, and they don't really get the best lineups here, but 4 probes do go down. Not too shabby, more so on the scout as well when it comes to those Hellions. Following this up, they got some Widow Mines, more than the sum. We have 4 Widow Mines in that medevac. Now, keep in mind, if this does no damage, and there is an immediate counter with the Stalker and Blink, there's no bunker and there's no siege tank. That's the downside of doing this build, but it is Thunderbird, the largest map, and it doesn't look like Kevin is even thinking about leaving his base. As he still has units inside, has a 3rd next on the way. What can these Widow Mines do?
Yeah, it's going to be all about the probe pull reaction over here from Kevin, because 4 Stalkers with a 5th Stalker being worked in. Yeah, 1 Stalker for Widow Mine, that's not quite how the math works out to kill the Widow Mines before they can really burrow and get anything done. It's about reacting and pulling your probes in the nick of time, and I think that is a pretty quick reaction.
Yeah, that was pretty perfect. He just pulls a few more into the Widow Mine to the left than was necessary, but that is doing very nitpicky. Blink is seconds away from finishing. Oh. It was about 5 seconds away. That was awfully close. But the medevac will live with all 4 Widow Mines. Not too bad.
Yeah, nicely done there by Kevin to at least get out of there alive. And again, killing 4 more workers, not the end of the world. I mean, it's actually pretty decent. And the Liberator is now going to be coming in. If the Stalkers try and do that move across the map, this is where the Liberator maybe gets some damage done. But going back to what you were saying, ZombieGrub, there is just now 1 bunker and not a whole lot of units on the other side of the map. So, oh, Stalkers are looking for the medevac. They barely missed it.
Yeah, it sucks. Medevac goes back into the main as the Liberator hits the natural. The Liberator's already been dealt with in the natural, and he is paying attention to the main. 1 Stalker's trying his best, gets the medevac. Loses its life, though, which always sucks. This Widow Mine's looking hopeful, but not going to find a big hit. So far, so good, I would say. 13 probes sounds like a lot, but keep in mind it's been over 2 minutes and the loss of much harassment units. These are all gas units as well, but Two Banes is macroing. I want to give credit here very well behind all of this. So, well, none of those are off cooldown.
Well, maybe soon. 1? Oh my god, actually target firing down all the weakened Widow Mines. Nice job there. Might end up losing the Stalker. Oh, just the probe.
Yeah. Two Banes not paying attention right there to get the Stalker. That would have been the ultimate kill, but again, very nitpicky for that. Liberator even comes back to bother once more. I think the Stalker would win that, barely. It's actually kind of close, but more importantly, on the other side of the map, Kevin finally went across to see what he could do, but the bunker was up, the siege tanks were up, but he actually finds himself corralled in the corner, losing a lot of HP on those Stalkers.
Yeah, gotta be very, very careful with that. But Kevin lost a lot of workers and is now down to the worker count, but at least has a third base now. The big scare here is that army that we just saw from Two Banes, which is set up to go for that standard two-base Terran push with the siege next to the Marines and a lot of Templars love. Even a couple of SCVs pulled over here and catching a lot of these Stalkers. Oh no, this is looking really, really dangerous for Kevin.
Yeah, this is already over, actually. I'm saying it. Moin 1 is not done. Charge only just finished, but he doesn't have enough warframes to get charge lots up, and charge lots are not what they used to be. There's already an inherent nerf to the way Kevin was playing, and then it wasn't so much the direct damage he took from the probes, lost mineral time as well, as I think it messed up his build a lot, where Two Banes is actually doing a very, very well executed build.
Do want to say that a lot of those Marines stim it up quite a bit, and if they stim one more time for that, yeah, they're going to be a lot of them low orange, left red hit points, but a couple of pros being pulled off the line. The Stalker count is still just not that high. Is looking pretty grim for being able to defend this, but goes after the SCVs building the bunkers and now going after some of those medevacs. Even with Blink Micro, it seems like Two Banes is just starting to overpower his opponents.
Behind this, he has a third base. He's actually missing one barracks, which I was like, is that? I think that actually might just be a straight up mistake. But otherwise, he was spending his minerals very well. And obviously, he's got 3 tanks still alive. And there's not much that Kevin can do about that. Even if he was able to get a decent number of zealots through here, the bunkers would all be done.
There's almost one bunker per zealot right now, Zombie Army. In fact, there's more than one bunker per Stalker.
Oh, geez, that's not good.
Yeah. A couple more zealots being worked in over by the third base, which I like that decision, because those are going to be the places where you can start getting some surface area, and also that's the place that you definitely need to be able to defend right now. Stalkers can blink down to the low ground if they want to. That might leave the main base more exposed. But this is, again, already just a really bad spot, because even, let's say, you manage to clean up this entire army and push back your opponent, you're still on 2 bases versus 3 now.
Right, yeah, it's coming down to that at this point, even if this was cleaned up. There's still going to be a lot of bio production. It's kind of a great fight, actually. The bio gets stuck on the tanks, while the tanks are dying to the rest. The bunkers weren't actually being used. Okay, 2 more bunkers won't go up, but there's still 4 bunkers here to play hopscotch with.
Oh, that's so frustrating. And this is locking out the main base from the third base over here from Kevin. The Stalkers can blink down to the low ground. The Zealots can be warped in on the low ground as well. So that's all well and good. But, I mean, any Immortals and stuff that were... I guess actually the Robo got killed. So maybe it's not the biggest deal because there's no Immortals being made.
Right, yeah. Liberator is not covering, well, one wasn't covering. And it is. So this isn't a terrible trade if everything else hadn't have already happened.
Oh no, yeah, the rest of the Marines are now here. The Stalkers have their blink on cooldown, are dealing with reinforcements. Stalkers getting warped in, are going to be in a dangerous spot, and these Marines are out for blood right now, ZombieGrub.
Yeah. They're so almost dead that 8 damage now stripped from the Zealots would have killed every one of them.
That is a really, really great way of putting it right now. Robo's going to get taken out, canceled before it can do anything. These bio units are literally just feeling over as they step over, a small twig, and then they suddenly just feel like, oh, I can't go on with life any longer. But the probes are still going to start getting killed off over here. And Two Banes doing an excellent job this game, taking a nice lead and not giving it up, not letting that lead slip out of his fingertips. And this might actually be the first win on the board here for Google AlphaStars.
Oh, it absolutely is. Two Banes has done it. He's going to stay undefeated for now. We'll see if he's called back, I suppose, as we get into the revive section. But, Kevin, I'm not really... I think this might just be a bit of stubbornness. I'm gonna call it because you didn't see an SCV pool. It wasn't like 20 SCVs done. You're like, well, maybe. And even if it was an actual 2-base all-in, like it was fully 5 barracks for 2 minutes right there, which it wasn't. A third CC was actually done when the push started. Even if that was the situation, the third CC still would have been done on location anyways. It's been that long. So I'm not really sure what Kevin thinks he's gonna accomplish. 2-2 upgrades. are actually going to be like almost matched by 2 Banes as well. He just is, he wanted the 4-0, man.
It would have been a pretty good feeling to close things out for your team, but Kevin might just feel like, oh, you know, this is so many units. Maybe he doesn't actually have a 3rd base or anything, but I think after he sees so many more units, he's going to start to realize GG gets called. He's probably going to look at that replay immediately and say, oh, man, you had a 4th base on the way. Never mind.
Yeah, he had 2 extra command centers, I think, on the way.
Oh, fifth base on the way, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it is one of those ones that hurts because you know if you had 1.5 to 2 more warp-ins, you would have actually been able to hold because there were only so many units, bio units left over. And once the bio units are taken care of, the tanks die to those charge lots, 8 damage or not. That's what charge lots are good at. But I think that did go back to the probe damage was okay, but more that the harassment was consistent and it did a lot of mining time loss, and it also probably messed up his build order. He chronoed blink out for the last 5 seconds and then didn't start charge despite having minerals and gas. Is one nitpicky point, but still something that probably was happening all the time. You know, he wasn't chronoing his probes, he wasn't building the immortal, he wasn't warping in when he had 600 minerals, he was warping when he had 1,000 minerals. Like, that type of stuff builds up when your opponent is doing a really well executed 2-base attack, right? And all it was 16, certainly 16 more zealots would have cleaned that up, absolutely. But even 8 more zealots would have been a big difference.
Yeah. I'm also not sure if this is a meme, but I see enough people talking about the fact that Kevin plays with one hand, and I'm not sure if that's actually true or if it's like a joke or a meme, because I see like Trumpet, for example, Trumpet SC2, who I know is an awesome StarCraft person. I see that name a lot, and I'm... Does he really play with one hand? Does Kevin play with one hand? Because that's actually pretty amazing.
It's possible. You have to have a specific setup,
okay.
but we all know it's possible.
Okay, wow, that's actually amazing. To be able to hit like that kind of MOR is super impressive.
No, it absolutely is. I know we've had a couple other people who have been either one-handed or I know Look No Hands.
Yeah.
That's actually true to his name. I actually knew the guy in real life a while ago, but like they got pretty. I think they got to like diamond and stuff, but to actually get to 5,000 MMR is really, really good.
That
just
is incredibly impressive. And hopefully we'll get to see maybe a little bit more of. Well, actually, are we going to get to see more of Kevin later on? Because I think that now that should have been the first 4 matches, and I think now the teams get to decide who they're going to be sending out for their 5th series. So
right,
we'll find out.
I jokingly said that they should message me, but they message both of us, I guess. But I'm the one who got whispered for at least. Oh God, I already forgot.
Okay, who are the players?
Team. Well, it's Mesa Man, and then I haven't gotten the other whisper.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so Mesa Man for Alexa 12 pool.
Yeah, and just a quick refresher, Mesa Man was the 5.2k MMR Protoss player, and it's worth noting again that the first 2 games that Team Amazon ended up playing, their team was put into positions where it looked like they were going to lose. And then they managed to make some magic happen, really capitalizing on their opponent's greed or moving in with some really, really cool flashy micro moves. And then they managed to win from there. But it's worth noting again that they were in losing positions. So this is by no means one of those situations where it's like, well, they dominated the first time that they played, and if there's a rematch or something, they're going to dominate again. No, it's actually a little bit concerning if they get that rematch.
Well, it's pretty cool. Well, I'm certainly happy that we didn't have just a 4-0. I was afraid the momentum was really going to work in the Protoss' favor last game, but I think it was actually very accurate to what we were talking about in the very beginning. We're like 300 MMR difference, totally workable. It's possible Terran was his best race. It's possible he just has a couple of really, like, you know, strong executions and builds up to 8 minutes, but then starts to lack afterwards in macro, because it's, you know, that can certainly happen. We didn't get to see it because it didn't really matter. The execution was there to actually win the game as soon as the bunkers went down, but that means that we get to continue on and talk about other matchups and momentum, and then the whole just different format now that we have, where they don't actually know who they're facing.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm not sure. Let me think. So I mean, we already know that Amazon has a lot of the Protoss players, so they were probably expecting that like some Protoss player or something would be fielded out over here soon. And I guess some of the noteworthy players.
Captain,
Actually, we've
we are
seen
being
all the players that
hosted.
we were told about that were the notable players and like kind of the documents that we were so lovingly given about the players for Team Google. So if they are able to just refield the players, I think you have to be a bit careful about how you do this, right? Because you have Orange Caramel, who's the supposed like ace player for Team Google, and you want to save him probably for like a match with Zero or something, right? Because he's the highest MMR player in like in theory. But then again, Two Banes is doing really well today, so I'm not sure. Who would you like to see? Of the players we've seen so far from Google.
I mean, I want to see. Yeah, I want to see Two Banes again because I'm really curious of what is his best race, and to see if he can continue being undefeated. But
yeah. By the way, I think that they might be like resubmitting lineups and stuff. So.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. I think it was PM2, but you're supposed to wait for both teams to reveal them or send them. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, regardless, like in terms of who you would send out over here, because it's supposed to be a blind pick for both sides and everything.
Right.
I feel like again, I would really be cautious about sending out the ace player. But sorry, you were saying.
Was I?
Oh, I thought you were. Okay.
Was I saying something?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Do you mean that they're choosing two new players, or they're actually giving a lineup?
No, I think it's two new players. I mean.
Oh, okay, yeah. When you say a lineup, I was like,
oh no, sorry.
Yeah, like they choose the next three players. I'm like,
it's a lineup of two players from two different teams.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I figured that they both had a name in mind and were going to rather succinctly tell me, but clearly not. I ruined it. So we don't know who's coming up next. They're still choosing.
Yeah. Well, in the meanwhile, this is another great opportunity to remind you guys, because if we haven't said it so many times before, that if you are at a company that would be interested in playing the CEA, then please do consider checking out the CEA. It's an awesome tournament for not only StarCraft 2, but for some other games as well. So I think ZombieGrub was saying that they were looking to expand out in some other games, especially next season. But you don't necessarily need to be, 5K, 6K MMR to play in this. You can be one of the teams that has, some Gold League players or Diamond League, etc. Across the board. It's a Swiss format tournament, and that's the main part of the event, is that Swiss format where you're playing against teams that are mostly around your level, maybe with a little bit of up and down to give you some opportunities to feel some of the better players, as well as maybe some of the teams that are not quite as highly skilled as you are. And it's just a really fun time.
Yeah. I think we've already gone over how cool it can be to actually have a competitive format and play with peers. That is to say, people who actually also play StarCraft. Those are my peers.
Yeah. And again, this is all about playing for charity. So these teams are playing for a really awesome prize pool, but it's not that they're going to be pocketing this and adding it to their bonuses for their jobs and it's being paid out by their companies. No. Instead, this is all going to charities of their choice. So the winners are choosing the larger amount of prize to go to the charity of their choice. There's still actually a second place prize as well, I believe. And the two charities that were picked, I know that Google ended up choosing Child's Play, which is actually a charity that I really love. That's a charity that I actually like to give to a lot, because they, I believe that they go to hospitals and they provide a lot of basically like relief opportunities for cancer patients or a lot of these other people who are in kind of more dire situations sitting at hospitals, especially younger people, to have games available so they can kind of bring some joy to their lives. It's a really great organization, and I believe Amazon had picked out GiveWell, which I'm not as familiar with, but I'm sure that they also are a really wonderful charity at the same time.
Sure it is. Well, it's taken a little while to get started, so we're actually going to go ahead and just let them summarize their league in a short little video. So stay tuned, guys. When we come back, hopefully we'll know who the players are. See you soon.
Pitch your company against others in your favorite games and compete for a prize pool donated to the charity of your choice. To participate, gather your coworkers, contribute, and enter our 15-week-long tournament. Each Saturday at noon Pacific time, your company will go head-to-head with another. At the end of the season, the winning team's charity is awarded the prize pool. Don't worry about skill. Our tournament structure means that each match will be meaningful and competitive. Join us today at CEA.GG. Esports with coworkers for charity.
Welcome back, everyone. We are finally getting into the game 5, 6, 5. 5.
5.
I'm going
Yes.
with 5. So final answer. It is actually going to be Mesa Man versus Orange Caramel. So a lot of deliberation on who to send out, and they finally chose Orange Caramel. Mesa Man was the first choice, and they were like, "Oh, we're changing it," and they actually didn't change it.
Yeah.
Mind games.
And this should be a fun one because both these players are around pretty much exactly the same MMR in terms of what we were given. They're both 5.2k MMR. They might have even hit each other on the ladder or something before. So this should be fun. It's a PvP.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We are on the largest map in the map pool. It is Disco Bloodbath. In the top left, as the Orange Protoss. Once again, Orange Caramel. Playing for Google AlphaStars.
And his opponent, down over here on the bottom right-hand-ish side of the map, we have the red Protoss player, goes by the name of Mesa Man. Okay, well, if I recall correctly, Orange Caramel, an ace player for Team Google, so they are going to be fielding here. It's super important that Orange Caramel is able to take this one. I know, again, I'm a believer in the ace, ZombieGrub. I believe in the power of the ace. I think the ace carries a lot of the hopes and expectations of each team. So I think it's important motivationally for that ace to win, to do well.
It's pretty important for the ace to win so they don't die.
Yeah, okay, well, also the fact that they are currently down 3-1 is pretty important.
Yeah, I did that thing where I called you out for casterisms. Okay, sorry. Well, once again, we have Orange Caramel refusing to do the forward wall off in a PvP. What's up with that?
You know, there are actually... So I've talked with some Protoss players about this kind of stuff before, and there are Protoss players who are so confident, both in their control but also in the build order choice they're going to go for, that they feel they can... The usual concern of why you would go for the wall off, which is the double the depth opening. And it's almost trying to bait your opponent into going for the double adept because you're just going to go for 4 really fast stalkers. You're going to maybe chrono them out or something. And then you say, yeah, no, please, I don't have a wall up. Come at me. Come in with your 2 adepts. And then you actually just murder the adept really quickly. Don't take too much damage. And you actually end up in a kind of better position. So, not going to matter too much because neither of these players are going for the adepts. But that's the reason I sometimes hear for it.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it happen in professional games, but basically only NA professional games. I want to say, yes, I'm pretty sure about that. And it was during like an NA Challenger. It was like Puck and Estrella. So, I mean, that I get that, but there is also a reason why like 99% of every other PvP has forward wall-offs. But regardless, it doesn't matter in this game, as you were saying. There's actually no real point in talking about how they put their buildings here. It's also the largest map, so even if it was adepts that shade across the map, geez, Mesa Man, scout much? They would have taken a very long time to get across the map, so the Stalker is going to take even longer. Stargate's on the way for Mesa Man, as well as a Nexus. Orange Caramel actually playing very defensive. 6 Stalkers before Nexus and a shield battery. No scouting whatsoever. No one going for a Sentry Stalker opener. This is going to go well for Mesa Man, who can also go into Phoenix if that is going to be his choice here. He starts off with the Phoenix. It's usually going to hit towards actually going Phoenix.
Oh, absolutely. Now, might be in a little bit of danger over here, trying to move up the Stalkers, but not losing any just yet. There's the first one down, but that is an overwhelming number of Stalkers over here from Orange Caramel. It is 8 Stalkers to 3 right now. Sure, there's a natural expansion here for Mesa Man that's on the way, but guess what, ZombieGrub? Right now, it is a 400 mineral sink. That is not units you might kind of want right now for this defense.
Yeah, also a bit slow in the reaction. Of course, you have to go you have to do the whole like thing where your stalkers get killed. But ideally, these shield batteries would have been done already. Go a little bit faster. Lifting off, taking a stalker out of the equation is a good idea, and it allows them to take out 2 for 1 almost. And this will be a hold despite not having those shield batteries.
Yeah, shield batteries are going to be finishing up right in the nick of time to save one of these stalkers, and those other 4 for Orange Caramel are going to have to retreat. I like the cancel on that extra shield battery after realizing, yeah, I don't really see any additional stalkers making their way forward. Plus, now I think that there is going to be that robo finished up here for Mesa Man, and that's going to allow the Immortal production to solidify the hold.
Yeah. Turns out only 1 Phoenix. Not really worth going into a Stargate for that, I would say. You could have gone into a robo as well.
You think that's an adaptation from what you saw?
I'm going to assume that it is. I don't think you only go Stargate for 1 Phoenix ever. But is it something that I think is actually necessary? No, I think you could have continued going for... Maybe you don't really want to go for Phoenix. You've already revealed you're going for Phoenix, but you could have added on at least an Oracle to try out. I think it is just a good idea to go ahead and let that go. But it just kind of sucks, because if he had opened up with a Robo, that hold is a no-brainer. Like, you probably already have an Immortal out if you went for a Robo instead of that Stargate. So... just a bit of a waste in terms of the structure, but as far as the game goes, it's not a waste as in it's dragging him down. It actually did kind of its job by helping him deflect those 6 stalkers, and now he's on to bigger and better things.
Yep, even got that Forge finished up, researching +1 weapons. +2 weapons is kind of the big money upgrade in terms of general upgrades in this matchup. That's when your Stalkers start doing a lot better versus other Stalkers, your Immortals start doing a lot more impactful things. So we'll see if eventually Mesa Man will even get up to that point, but even for now, +1 weapons are going to be useful. Orange Caramel, on the other hand, is really just starting to invest more into Twilight Tech, getting up a charge upgrade, as well as just adding on to his own Immortal count and trying to play a bit of catch up with that natural, but already caught up for the most part on that working count.
Yeah. Well, on to the normal PvP things, Charge and Immortals, but you're absolutely right about that upgrade, and the fact that he will have any upgrade over his opponent is quite good, much less eventually having that +2 attack. Looks like Orange Caramel might be planning just like a 2-base attack himself. Actually, doesn't have Forge. It's going to be difficult to catch up on.
Yeah, one of the weird things about PvP that I feel is that it's not always the easiest thing to figure out exactly when your opponent goes for a 3rd base. And that's kind of what the Sentry is oftentimes there for, is a lot of those hallucinate Phoenix Scouts. Now, there is one sentry on either side, which actually does mean that they have the ability to scout, but it's not incredibly often. And especially with the Phoenix and stuff dying, I feel like both of these players are going to be far more in the dark about what their opponents are up to than maybe some other usual PvPs.
Hmm. Well, I do love the War Prism for the double Immortal drop. There's not many other things that you can do in this matchup. Unfortunately, it gets a little passive. Even professional games, you know, after the sometimes very hectic opener that's, you know, proxy versus proxy, 3-gate versus barely defending, disruptors, I don't even... like, if it gets to this point, fully saturated 2 bases, it typically goes to a 3rd base and just waiting for that +2, unless you're actually hitting like a timing +1, 2 base, something like that. But yeah, in this case, it's not much. So Warp Prism's kind of the only option here, and you don't really want to do Warp-in Warp Prisms because they're easily countered by your opponent's Warp-ins. With 2 Immortals, that can take down probes, that can take down buildings.
Yeah, depowering +2 weapons is going to be a really a victory there. That's definitely going to slow things down. We still don't see a pylon being made because there is finally the pylon, but that's not actually in range of the Forge. So the +2 weapon is going to be even further delayed. And guess what? Even another gateway game depowered, while it counts against depowered. This is great.
This is very good. It's something that Mestaman would also want to be doing. I think 2 Immortal Warp Prism is a... Oh, no! Well, okay. It's not good if you do that.
Yeah. Well, it at least gets 2 Stalkers plus all those pylons. Obviously, Immortals are very valuable units in this matchup. So not a great thing to lose that, but... I mean, you can at least say that the Immortals are getting some really good damage.
Yeah, I really don't think it's worth losing the Tyrant Immortal, though.
Yeah.
I really, the best thing about this is 100% the +2 being so delayed. You're spotting about those pylons not reaching it.
Yeah.
That actually might have been what's worth it.
Yeah, that actually gave time for +1 weapons now to finish for Orange Caramel. And remember, Orange Caramel's Forge was significantly later. If that Forge for Mestaman had been powered this entire time, I think +2 weapons would have actually finished in time for this fight, maybe. Or at least been very close to finishing.
Probably would have been like 75% done, but this is kind of awkward. So the recall was not good for the Warp Prism on Orange Caramel's side. Recall better for Mestaman, but there's a lot of things happening here. Losing that Warp Prism, losing a second Immortal is still terrible for Orange Caramel, who's also still going to be behind on that +1. But his composition, I think, is actually a lot better. And if it had 2 Immortals and a Warp Prism, it would be absolutely perfect. I think that, I mean, there's a reason we see most professional PvPs not go up to that many Immortals. Having more Archons is actually, at this point, better. Even if they're both maxed out having Immortals in the back line. But it's also going to be an army supply thing. There's just 30 more army supply for Orange Caramel right now.
Yeah, the Zealots are going to be able to survive here for Caramel, or sorry, for Orange Caramel, and Mestaman's army is just starting to disappear at this point. 3rd base is being broken, the Archons do way too much damage, and just that Zealot buffer gets taken out. Orange Caramel taking another game for his team, Google.
Wait, he didn't take a game?
Did I?
He almost did, and then he ended up losing to Zest's best.
What? No, I was just saying he just took this game.
Oh, you said he took another game.
Google. Sorry, yeah.
I was like,
you're confused on that. Yeah,
wait
I meant just Google's taken another game. That's all.
Okay. Yeah. Orange. I was gonna paint the picture of Orange Caramel finally like rectifies his first PvP and actually takes the game. And you said it the way you did. And I was like, wait a minute. Do I have the score wrong? But no, I got you. Yeah, he takes another game for his team. It's now 2-3, and he's helping bring it back. So we're gonna have another reveal of the ace players soon. But yeah, my perspective is that was him showing his prowess in PvP, which he did in the first game of this series. It was just a question of, I think, of greed, of miscalculating what you can sacrifice, which is a very difficult thing to do in StarCraft, of course. But now showing his actually dominance. That last fight actually was quite one-sided, and a lot of that had to do with not the necessarily direct damage from the Immortals, but I think how much Mestaman was thrown off, thinking a lot, and not having that +2, right? Put the pylons in the wrong place. So, well done.
Absolutely. And now we're going to get to see who the next players are that are sent out now. I already have the next player for Team Google, who is, I'm just kidding, I'm not going to reveal it yet because we're still waiting to see who Amazon's going to be sending on out. So, from this point on, we do have the ace player already used up for Team Google. Orange Caramel finished his match and won the game. Awesome. All that talk that I was given about how important it is for the ace player to win the match. Now, totally feeling good about that, because obviously they would have just lost the series if they had lost that game. But now we move into that next game. That also means that because the ace player has already been utilized for Team Google, they're going to be relying on some of the other players going to pick up that slack now. So we'll see who Amazon's going to be sending out next.
Right. As we get on to Winter's Gate. So this is also... Wait, it's 3-2. It was game 5. It was game 6. What map would be left after this, actually?
Oh, I have not been paying
Zen.
Oh, my favorite map right now.
I'm pretty sure that would be. It's the only one I haven't seen, and there's a reason for that. No one really wants to play on it.
Yes, indeed.
So that's going to be interesting. If we even get there, it's still possible that Amazon just takes it, finally gets the 4 on the board, but it's already gone better for Google than the last time they've met, which was a 4-1, and I think a lot better than last year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this has definitely been one of the closer matches I think Amazon has had thus far in terms of, it's not even just the fact that it's now, you know, a 3-2 score where that is a close score. It's the fact that the first 2 games that Amazon even won were games that were in Google's favor and then got turned around. In theory, actually, you could say, if you want to be super duper pessimistic about how things have gone for Google, Google could have already won this series in a way, right? If they had been able to win those first 2 games that they were in really advantageous positions in, that would be the 4-2. Google would have been finished. But now they've got to turn things around again. They've got to find a way to repeat those successes from earlier, but then continue it on to actually close out those games.
Yeah, they did start things off with advantage and then kind of let it slip through. It's not like they were throwing those first 2 games, which really hurts your morale if you just actually watch a game and you're like, oh, I just like ran to the 4 disruptors. That's super cool. But they did have an advantage, so I'm glad that they were able to bring it back like, as a team, as like their spirits, I suppose. And we actually get a pretty close series, and we are still waiting, I believe, on both of them to reveal who their players are. I guess they actually don't have an official referee here. The guy, like our contact in Orkshire, is actually the team Amazon's captain. So there's not actually an official third party except for us. So that's why we're the ones getting contacted.
Yeah. Okay. Well, as soon as we'll get the, so I actually have the player for Google. So we're just waiting on Amazon now. So whenever if Amazon messages you, then we're good to go. But yeah, I cannot wait to see who's going to be coming out next. And I do also want to say that I believe Turing is one of the CEA admins as well. So both of these teams actually have some admins that help run the league on their team. I think that's pretty cool.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, well, it has to do with it has to do a lot with what you think the other person is doing, so a lot of discussion can come through here. I mean, there seems to be kind of 2 approaches. We saw this even when like Pro League existed. There would be one team that seemed to just deliberate and then stop talking, because when they were choosing their ace players, it'd be like all this like panning over the team bench and all everyone talking and stuff with the big reveal. Some people would actually legitimately be talking. Sometimes they'd fake the camera out and say that they are, but anyways, someone would just be like, yep, this is our plan from the get-go, no matter what map it was on, no matter what, you know, other race it could have been. And the other times it's like, oh, but what if they throw out a Protoss player? What if it's actually the Zerg player? What if they knew it was going to be a Zerg player and we thought it was a Zerg player, but they knew we thought that, so it's actually going to be like, it can be like that. But I would say your safest bet is actually just to say like, okay, who likes this map? Who's feeling good?
Yeah, that's true. Now we do actually have the reveal now, as I just got word. Amazon is going to be fielding Zest is Best, who's the Protoss player we saw in that first series. So Zest is Best is going to be looking for that good old second victory there. And Google is going to be sending out their tried and true undefeated random player, 2 Banes.
cool. Okay, so this is a wider gap than the last time we saw two Banes. It's now a 600 MMR gap instead of a 300 one. But I would say that's even still, considering how two Banes was able to execute that last game, that could still be doable. That is the point where you're actually, your Masters 3-2-ish, I think, right there. And you're hitting people who are becoming GM. To put that in league context. So it is quite a jump, but it's something that occasionally even StarCraft itself will test you with. They'll throw someone 600 MMR above you. And usually when you're on a losing streak, of course, because that's what Battle.net does.
I know, because that's how I've played you before on the ladder, ZombieGrub.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. So it is also, I mean, it feels a little scummy when you're so used to actually saying your race, but it would be an absolute benefit not to reveal your race to a Protoss player. Just throwing it out there. Two Banes.
You know, technically, it's not. I think that everyone's too good-mannered to do this, but technically, it is not in the rules that you can't lie about your race in a tournament.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a little overboard. Okay, there's a difference between not saying it and straight up lying.
I think everyone's way too well-mannered to do something like that.
Yeah.
But man, if I ever play Artosis another caster invitational, oh man, it would be worth it. It would be worth it to random just to do that, just to tilt him.
You know he would still he'd just be like, wow, what a dick move, and then he would demolish you.
He would still demolish me, yeah.
Okay, God.
I think that the players are ready. We're going to get started with our next game on Winter's Gate.
Oh, you're a host.
Yeah, they made me a host because our original admin, Whisper, who you mentioned already, of course playing for Team Amazon, had to give his computer to Zest his best to play the match.
Oh, that's awesome. Actually, I guess they're all in the same room then. They have the same Discord call.
Yeah, actually, it's so funny. I already just am in my mind seeing them inside of one of the Amazon conference rooms and stuff, where I used to be able to be there back when I was at Amazon, hang some beers and stuff. Yeah, it's a good time.
Okay, well, it could still be the last match if this guy in the bottom right wins. As the yellow Protoss, he is Zest is best for Amazon.
And from Team Google, he is undefeated. The random player that spawns a Zerg goes by the name of Two Banes. All right. I know we were talking about how we don't know necessarily. Usually, a random player has a best race. We don't really know what the best race is for Two Banes, but if the name is any indication, Banes are a Zerg unit.
That's true. Maybe this is his best race. Would be the exact opposite of my situation, but very possible. And if that is the case, his Terran was actually pretty good. Aside from the 5th barracks missing, it was a high pressure build that he macroed quite well behind it, and obviously was able to execute it. So if that's his worst, then his best is probably pretty good, and thus increasing the closeness of their MMRs. But already starting things off weird. He did reveal his race. Double check that. So Zest's best wall-up makes a lot of sense in this regard, but decides to drone block a Nexus? That's a new one on me.
I guess maybe just trying to get in his opponent's head a little bit. Especially when, you know as well as I do, that sometimes random players have a bit of that reputation, right? For being a bit cheeky, being a bit cheesy. Maybe you force your opponent to think like, oh no, is it gonna go for the hatch block or something? Is this gonna turn into like a big meme? Because a lot of random players, I think the reason why this ends up happening is random players, because you have to learn so many different matchups and so many different builds and all this other stuff. Sometimes it's easier to just not have to also worry about learning the late game. You learn some all-ins for maybe some of the matchups you don't like even, and then that's kind of it. You don't have to worry about learning as much information. So it's cool to see that Two Banes is not just a random player that just is all-inning every game. It's actually playing out the macro games.
Yeah. And maybe that is the reason he did that drone thing, is that he often gets an overreaction because he's random. So like, oh yeah, cheeser. He's gonna proxy hatch me. I don't want that to happen because it's annoying to deal with. And by proxy hatch, I think it's more like a hatch block. I don't know, trying to differentiate between actually trying to get the hatchery up so that you're building spine crawlers, right? Proxy hatch as opposed to, oh, I delayed your nexus and forced you to play a very different game. Hatch block to me. Either way, it's annoying. And maybe some people over defend against that, but Zest absolutely did not. Zest is best, rather. Not actually Zest, guys. But okay, that's not a third base for a reason. Oh, this is already bad.
Oh, but the Adept, remember, the Adepts do not have that much vision. Did the Adept actually see the Baneling nest there?
No, but he saw that gas was still being taken, which I think is also a red flag. If that's something he was paying attention to, and he already, actually he fully walls off.
Okay. Good call, good call. And with the full wall off, Resident Glaze is going to be on the way, and I actually really like not only fully walling off, creating a little bit of a backup area with a shield battery over there to both heal the buildings and also to provide a secondary wall in. Zest's best is so on point with recognizing what he's up against.
Yeah, very nicely done. This actually is the slightest bit of why pro gamers are so damn good about this game. This gas would have been on the other side 100% if that was their plan. That's not revealing their intention. So just to highlight just how damn good, how small some of these things are. But yeah, when you know like it is, then just fully wall off. You have to make so many extra banelings to kill these full buildings. Not pylons like shield batteries. So many extra. That's not enough.
Yeah, still not for actually breaking through, but taking out this core is a big step up, just because I mean, no more sentries and no more stalkers, no more adepts can be warped in, and remember, Resident Glaze is on the way, so that is gonna hurt the follow-up, but it's not necessarily about the follow-up right now. You have to break this, you have to get something done.
Yeah, shield battery is also damn effective against Banelings thus. Look at this stalker. It already takes an insane number of Banelings. Whoa!
Wait, ZombieGrub, there's no pylons on the way right now. They're finally getting started.
I still don't think it matters. As amazing as that Artosis pylon was, Artosis in chat, please, guys.
Oh
I still don't think it's enough.
Okay, yeah, that's going to be another one coming up. The other two pylons finish, even with some more Banelings morphing in. You're losing some ground over here, but there's just so many Lings dying during all of this.
Yeah. Not much you do against force field either.
Oh, yeah, I think there's actually another force field available, maybe? Or no?
Yeah.
Yep, there it is.
And another one, right? I mean, 4 I think is what you need to, like, definitely do it, but...
Oh god, there's an Immortal out now.
And now 2 Banes tries to recover, but that's not going to be actually doable. So unfortunate, too. I mean, cheesing this guy out, like, it's... People mishandle Baneling bust even when they know how to deal with it, even when they kind of know it because they underestimate it. But in this case, the wall-off was absolutely perfect, and I guess you had to assume that Zest's best would have known how to deal with it being as high MMR as he was. You were just really hoping he wouldn't scout it. It was a perfect scout.
What about the no-regret play? You fake transitioning out, and then you come back in with a bunch of Banelings, kill all the sentries ult. And then you just flood out more Lings and Banelings, and the all-in never ends. It's not wave 1, it's not wave 2, it's not wave 3 that kills them, ZombieGrub. It's wave 5, when they finally think it's over.
As much as the hype would be real, that only happens when you're on top of their production. As in, you've killed gateways, they forgot to make more gateways, and it snowballs. If they have production, and you have production, and your production is Lings, you're dead. So I would love to see 2 Banes. Here's where it could be also awesome. Go into Baneling drops, knowing it's going to be an Immortal Sentry, well, Adept push, apparently. Because all those things, they're going to clump, like, they're going to clump up. You know, they're going to depend somewhat on force field, saving them from a Lynx around. Not that there's going to be enough Lynx to do that, but then that's when you come with the Banelings. You know, it's how, like, a laser brought it back, like, over a year ago at this point. It was Baneling drops, which you, unfortunately, need to get to some pretty high tech for. But it would be amazing.
Yeah, well, Lair Tech is going to be finishing up soon, but that Warp Prism finishing up is usually the signal for the push out, and there it is. Zest is best, going to be moving out. The Overlord does spot this, as that Warp Prism will provide that high ground to see the Overlord. And the Lings are going to be making their way around the map, maybe looking to threaten a counterattack, but with a full wall off over here, this should not get too much damage done. And I think it's really just going to be about trying to get some sort of 6th round with maybe Banelings or something at this point. Oh, that's a lot of Lings.
I think his mind was maybe on a Spire, because he has not gotten Overlord speed here, or more Banelings.
Oh no, there's still more drones.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why it just sounds like he put down $1 billion $5. Still wouldn't help though.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? So my win condition over here for 2 banks is actually send the drones and mine as many minerals as you can, and then send the drones from the 3rd base around the map and start going for a literal base trade at this point.
I mean, the base trade, it's actually going pretty damn well. The Adepts get warped in and then head towards the natural where the probes are already dead. So the probes in the main are actually dying. The Adepts have died to a full drone surround. Aspire is on the way, but oh no, not at the 3rd, it's in the main. Well, that's gonna get targeted instantly then.
Oh, ZombieGrub, there's only 2 probes on the map right now, and there's only 2 probes being made, but that's all of the resources. If those probes go down to these lanes, there's actually gonna be no production anymore.
Ooh, I mean, if he knew that, he maybe would go for the probes, but the warp prism. Okay. Never mind about that. And he can't get enough minerals to get enough mutas to actually do anything here. So Aspire actually is gonna survive, at least for now.
For 1 muta.
Yeah,
Maybe
1
2.
muta.
Maybe 2 by the time Aspire finishes.
The drones are gonna escape, so yeah, maybe 2. But then the Spire's gonna die either by this army or by the creep receding. Oh no, never mind.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And by the way, if that Spire had finished, which by the way didn't cancel unfortunately, but GG, Zest is best, and Team Amazon take the 4th match that they need to take the victory, 4-2. Well done.
I like that. Like, if he had built the Spire at the 3rd and like preemptively managed his drones because he thought Zest would go to the main, like seeing far in the future, and he somehow got like 6 mutas, let's say. That still probably isn't enough, but we're still talking about the game. But it was because it was so well scouted, it was a bad Baneling bust. But that's literally what changes a good Baneling bust and a bad Baneling bust, is if it's scouted.
It definitely makes it tough. And exactly what you're saying, really, really want to key in on how great of a job Zest's Best did with recognizing the Baneling bust just off of, oh, you're still mining gas. That's odd. It's those subtle cues that kind of separate a lot of the top-notch players from maybe, someone in Diamond League or something like that. So really, really awesome job. And congratulations, Amazon! Once again, going to be doing their team proud and doing their good old charity proud as well, as they take yet another grand finals.
Yeah, as Google says here, we made the beast bleed. Amazon has taken 3 finals now. They are a very good team, as we said, like all GMs. Very any different MMRs of GMs, I suppose, but still, they all have an edit to make the GM on NA for sure, and that's really tough to beat. And I would say in a different time period, it would have been impossible to beat. Like GMs on every team in a more casual format, everyone else is like going to be platinum. But we actually have, as you said, like a lot of these top teams, they're A teams. They're all actually masters, high masters and GM. But they also have a bunch of other teams. As I said, Google has 5 teams, and they are of all different skill levels. So don't be too intimidated if you're actually part of Google and you're like, I had no idea this went on. Hit them up, guys. Like, it's awesome to be part of a team and play StarCraft.
Yeah, absolutely. And you will be surprised also by like the number of people you can also convince if you're at one of the smaller companies or something, you're a startup or something. You might be surprised by how many people you can convince to just give it a shot, even if they're new to it and everything. It's not necessarily the most insane time investment to try and participate, and you can totally organize a team from scratch. Please don't be too intimidated. It is a little bit of work, but it's absolutely worth it. I promise. It is seriously one of the most fun experiences I've had in StarCraft, is being a part of and helping run either like a collegiate Star League team or an HGL team or now CEA team, which unfortunately I can't participate in because I'm not working at a company anymore. I'm full-time esports.
I just gotta find a company that would actually hire me with absolutely no skill sets.
Dude, ZombieGrub, do you want to start a company and enter into CEA?
Yes, I do actually. No, this all goes to charity. It's really awesome. It's also super well run. So if you're afraid that it's going to be like this is, as I said in the beginning, this happens. You join like an awesome startup tournament, and it's like people get lives and people get busy and they forget about it. It's been running for a while. Very smooth. Their website's awesome. You can go there and check out for more information if you are thinking like, hey, I have a friend who likes StarCraft and maybe we can find 4 other people. Like, yeah, sure. It's very possible to participate, and it all goes for a good cause as well. And you just have actual fun playing StarCraft again. It's actually a social experience again. You don't have to just watch streamers to have a social experience of StarCraft. Yeah.
I mean,
But-
exactly like we were talking about earlier, how, for example, Whisper was letting Zesta's Best play on his computer because they're in the same place and everything. It wasn't just like an artificial, oh, no, guys, it's totally... No, these teams are actually physically getting together and enjoying these games, which I think is just freaking awesome.
We love to see it, and I think we're both very happy that they invited us back again to cast it. So thank you very much, CEA, and make sure to check out their Twitter, make sure to check out the website, and definitely think about participating if you're if you at all think that you actually could be a candidate for this. It is a absolutely fun time, very worthwhile. I'm still a little sick, sorry guys. Poor Fear Dragon here has been hearing all the disgusting sounds because I can only meet one part of this. But yeah, thanks for casting with me, Fear Dragon. As I said, he's actually in Montreal casting something tomorrow, so he's at a hotel right now.
Yeah.
So passionate enough to do this, so super fun to have you, and I know you're an excellent candidate to cast this. You're like a perfect fit for it. So.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you again to the CEA for running this fantastic, wonderful league and carrying on from the After Hours Gaming League. I also do want to give a shout out also because I know we mentioned it a few times before, but since the finals finished, we might as well mention it one more time that the prize, the charity of choice for Amazon, that does mean that the majority of the money is going to be going to GiveWell. But I believe there is also still a second place prize where some of the money is also going to be going to Google's charity of choice, which is Child's Play. So guys, be sure to check those out. And you know what? If for some reason your team didn't end up winning and you're kind of sad, like, oh man, didn't get to donate to the charity, you can still just donate to the charity. I just want to put that out there. Show some love. This is a really great thing. And again, raising money for charity is awesome. You could still just donate to the charity of your choice.
Shocking, I know, right? Yeah, consider it, guys. Thank you all for watching. Please follow the channel if you enjoyed the content. This is usually a once a year thing, but always have to be here. I'll be back streaming my usual stuff on Monday, and I know we have Call of Cthulhu as well. Fear Dragon and I do a little tabletop RPG on Wednesday night if you're interested in that. Otherwise, I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.